The truth of the matter is that attractive, godly men are the future, the haters are the history and the past, and the people that don't understand us are going to be in a timeline that is not conducive for their overall imperative and well-being. And that's okay. We're going to be the ones that are maybe outlawed, spiritually speaking, but we're going to be the ones that have ourselves. And a man who is with himself and with God, that's going to be a man who has more than most people will ever dream of. And this is one of the reasons why attractive, godly men, specifically, cannot be nice. We can't be nice anymore. And it's not because we ought to be rude or we ought to be a certain way. It's that if you're going to have righteous indignation, let there be a philosophy behind that righteous indignation. Let there be something godly behind that anger or that frustration. And people recently have been getting either all on board with what I'm saying or very much not with what I'm saying. Or they hear the message and they just, they're going to disagree, which is fine. I would rather you just hear the message and disagree than trying to just hate, because again, the haters are going to be the ones that they're never going to be able to be conducive toward a positive state of society anyway. So we just focus on winning and we channel the energy of winning, because energy of winning is a channel that you optimize, and it's a thought algorithm that you stay into your own awareness while focusing on that channeling of energy. And what I've seen more so in the last few months than I've ever seen before is just the ridiculousness that comes with being an attractive man. Because you're used way more than any attractive woman. Because the attractive woman, she gets things as an attractive person. She gets things being a woman specifically. Women are the receivers. Men are the givers. A woman ought to want to receive something from you as a man. And we are the ones that make women wives, or we make them hoes. Okay, we make them sluts, we make them hoes, or we make them wives. And sometimes women are going to choose certain things, and we don't really have control over that. All we can do is lead the women or leave the women. But what I've seen in the past few months is absolutely incredible. It's almost as if it's compounding upon itself. I've known this for a few years, but it's only compounding on itself further and further, to where people start to expect that, well, because you're attractive and I'm not even saying I'm Brad Pitt, okay? I've made this declaration in the past. I see myself as a solid 6 to 8, depending on the day, depending on how I'm feeling, okay? I'm not necessarily, inside, I feel like a 10. But I know on the outside, I'm above average, okay? I'm above average. So I take care of myself. I love myself. I absolutely see myself as a loving authoritarian when it comes to my relationships, especially with women. But I don't try to force people into doing things. All I say is, this is what's going to happen. If you want to do this, this is what I need to see from you. Otherwise, go somewhere else. I don't really hate the people, but I'm not really nice to these people either. And it's almost as if they expect more from you. The more attractive you make yourself as a man, the more you stabilize yourself as a man, the more that they want from you. And I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, I do get it, but at the same time, it's almost like, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to prosper? And how are we supposed to reconcile these opposites exactly when it comes to the society. Because it seems to me that there's a whitewashing of all of the discrepancies that many people don't see and being attractive as a man, and they're washing these away because they don't understand it, and they don't want to understand it. They don't want to understand. They just expect godly men who are attractive to cater to everybody around. Oh, well, you follow Jesus, so, and you're an attractive man, so I can get stuff from you. Even just being around you, I can maybe, get some things. But I don't pour my spirit into people that aren't at least pouring back into me anymore to some degree. Now, it's not to say that as a man that you shouldn't be willing to give. Okay, if you do give with so much abundance in your mentality and your thought algorithms that even if they do take advantage of you and use you, there's nothing that they could say or do that's going to hinder your progress as a man. There's nothing that you can say or do that's going to deter you from your own mission when it comes to giving them something either. Because you're just giving because you have things to give and you see that they're in need. Even if they do use you, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And the thing is that I'm just very guarded with my heart nowadays because I've been used so many freaking times that it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how many people try to take advantage of you when you have your shit together. It's unbelievable how many people try to take advantage of you just keeping to yourself. You minding your own business. It's almost a crime to some of these people for you to just be who you are and do your work and keep your head down and just, you're not trying to cause any trouble. And yet, for some reason, it's almost like trouble seems to find you and you just stay away from it and you just keep moving forward. But still, nonetheless, it's like, we as attractive, godly men, we have a life in which many people are not going to truly understand. And that's okay. It's going to be what it's going to be. And the thing is that, again, through time, it seems to only compound upon itself. And it's like we are, like we're in this together, but we're all alone. We're all in this together as godly, attractive men, but at the same time, we're just so alone. And this is where I haven't felt lonely at all recently, but I've just been very alone, even with people. Like, I want to be around people, but at the same time, it's like, how much do you really want to invest in these people sometimes, Because like out in the physical community that I have, when I'm going to the grocery store, when I'm going to the gym and whatnot, it's like, I look around and I don't really see anybody that I would really like, wow, I want to get to know that person. Like, if they want to come talk to me, I'm open to talking, and I'm a sociable person. I know how to be social when I want to, and I think social skills are imperative as a man. You have to know how to be social. But I just, I don't really care. Like, I don't really care to talk to these kinds of people. The people that I can communicate the most with, and the people that I resonate the most with, are people who have small circles and don't really go out much or talk to too many people. They're always focused on building. It's the people that have a focus on building and the people who are focused on doing what needs to be done, those are the winners. That's who I relate to. I don't relate to people who are trying to, oh, who's that weirdo, or who's that creepy person, or like the gossip, I just don't, or like the sports or the celebrities. Like, I don't relate to this stuff. I don't relate to TikTok. I'll watch through this stuff because I think that it's important for me to stay educated as a creator myself. But I don't I don't relate to this stuff. I don't relate to my generation. And especially as an attractive, godly man, it's like we are not allowed to rise. We are not allowed to have control over our own lives. We're not allowed to have a say over what we want in our own lives. And then we're going to be labeled as insecure otherwise. This is what I hate. And I know that there are men out there that have done this with me. And I know that they don't mean it to be like a certain way. It's just that it's like the feminist brain, man. It's the feminist brain that's just so deeply rooted. We don't even know how really deep it actually is. And we've romanticized romance so much. And we've believed that there's this certain societal framework that we as men have to abide by because, well, that's just the way that things are supposed to be now. Like, and I was just thinking about how I don't ever want to bend the knee to a woman. And someone brought this up to me recently in the Regal Change Academy as well as a one-on-one call that I had. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, I don't want to bend the knee to a woman. Why would I bend the knee to a woman? Because sure, maybe you're bending the knee when you ask a woman to marry you. Maybe you're bending the knee to the eternal image of the feminine. Maybe, but why would you do that? You're basically bending your knee to the goddess. And why would you do that? Okay, there's one God. There's one God. And if you follow Christ, you're only going to bend the knee to Christ, right? So where did this bending the knee come from? And I started to have my own thoughts and my own perspectives of this on, I don't see, why would God ask us as men to marry creatures who are emotional? Why would he ask us to make a vow with this creature? What in the world? Because I've seen too much. I've seen too many married women or women in relationships that are pining for my attention or that have told me that we can keep it a secret. I've seen too much. And it's like, what are we supposed to do? Attractive, godly, and celibate men, by the way, as well. It's like we're in such a minority that they just want our energy, right? They just want our energy. And it's like, well, are these women wanting my energy or are they wanting me? Like, what? You have to know what these women are wanting, and you have to know who wants what from you and why, because different women are going to want you for different reasons. But it's almost as if we can't have these opinions as men. We can't have the opinion that I don't want to bend the knee. It's like, oh, well, why not? Why wouldn't you want to bend the knee? It's just the way things are. It's like, okay, but just because it's the way that things are, it doesn't mean that it's the right way. Okay, it's just the thing. Like, for example, hookups are basically a byproduct of society nowadays. But that doesn't mean, like, that's just the way things are, right? But that doesn't mean that it's a good thing. That doesn't mean that it's a good thing for society, even though it's just the way that it is. It doesn't mean that it's like, I'm trying to think of an example of where it just is what it is. That's not necessarily bad, not necessarily good either in regard to relationships. I would say maybe even female nature. It's not to say that female nature is evil, right? It's just that they're capable of being savage and ruthless more so than men, even though men don't want to believe that. And so I'm used to being used. I'm used to being misunderstood. But it's getting to a point to where it's like, what are we supposed to do as men? If we're not allowed to have our own perspectives, if we're not allowed to rise, if we're not allowed to be sovereign, if we're not allowed to have our own views, as long as it's in accordance to God's laws, statutes, and commandments, biblically speaking, because I do believe marriage is a good thing. I believe families are a good thing. But where in the Bible, like I was doing so much research yesterday, where in the Bible does any man ask a woman to marry him? I don't see it. I don't see any instance in which a man asks a woman. He just says, nope, this is how it's going to be. And then Jesus says, let whatever God joined together, let no man separate, right? So God just joins them together. It doesn't go into the details about how that happens or why that happens. Okay, think about all of the lies of romance being told for the last 2 centuries or so, right? Think about all the lies that have been told. Love is just a business nowadays. Love is just a business. And this is one of the other reasons why attractive men cannot be nice. We cannot have female friends. I've tried to have female friends. I don't even really like to have female friends. Oh man, we're going into it on this one. So I don't like to have female friends very much. They're not very interesting to talk to most of the time. They're just not. I've never met an interesting woman that is hyper intellectual. I think that it's important for a woman to be able to deeply think and to contemplate deeply and to have self-awareness. But I don't expect her to be some like philosopher. And I don't expect her to be intellectual. If she is, usually, I'm not saying this is always the case, but usually she's kind of masculine when she's hyper intellectual. The only kind of intellectual that I would really like is someone like Hermione from Harry Potter, because she's still feminine, but she stands up for herself. She's assertive, but she's not aggressive in her assertiveness. She's assertive, but she's not trying to force anybody into believing her because she's a woman. It's not the way that it is. And some of the most masculine women will pretend to be the most feminine. Have you ever noticed that? This is one of the other reasons why we can't be friends with these women as attractive, godly men. We cannot be friends with them because they're going to start to expect things from you. They're going to start to expect, or they're just going to start to like really like you. And there's never been a time in history that I've seen where a man and a woman have been friends and there hasn't been some kind of undertone of romantic sexual interest. There's never been a time where that happens. So why are we kidding ourselves here? Why are we telling ourselves that this is actually okay? Now, of course, you can have human-to-human connections. You can have, it's like a person-to-person interaction, right? You can be courteous and cordial and kind. There's nothing wrong with a man being kind. There's a time for gentleness as a man, but you have to be capable of fighting like a godlike savage too. If you're not capable of fighting like a godlike savage, I would dare say you're not capable of being gentle and kind. Because in my mind, gentleness and kindness is different from being nice. Being nice will get you used like a doormat so fast, it'll make your head spin. However, being kind and showing kindness, being able to show mercy, that's a different, there's intent behind it. There's a philosophy behind it. Whereas with being nice, you just want to be nice because you want to people please. You want to be liked. When you're being kind, what you're actually doing is you have a reason, you have a philosophy, you have a method behind why you're doing what you're doing. So this is why you have to be mindful of this. And as men, we have to recognize that sometimes we're going to have to be a righteous a-hole. That's just the way that it is. We're going to have to be a righteous, indignation-filled a-hole sometimes, and it's going to come across in a certain way that we don't maybe want to have that come across, but that's just going to be the way that it is. That's a good example of something that just is the way that it is. It's not that I hate you, woman. It's not that I dislike you, woman. It's just that if I don't hold myself in my own frame, you're going to lose respect for me, and I'm going to lose compassion for myself. And if I lose compassion for myself and you lose respect for me, this relationship, done, over. So I have to kind of be filled with righteous indignation sometimes when I'm talking to you, woman. Otherwise, there's not going to be a sense of respect. It's like the whole fearing God is the beginning of wisdom. We have to fear God in the same way that sometimes women have to fear us. And it's not like a fearing God, like a tyrant. It's not a tyranny that we are supposed to fear. It's the fact that we have reverence for his authority. And it's not that we need to force our authority onto women. We just need to be capable of walking away when necessary. This is why I say you can lead her or you can leave her. Women will respond to you best when they fear losing you, because they fear abandonment of a good man. We as men fear being used. We don't want to be used. We don't want to be lied to. We don't want to be manipulated. But we will do anything and everything for that woman that shows her loyalty to us, shows her faithfulness. But that's the other thing that I found in the Bible. I don't see one single instance in which a woman makes a vow to a man. She makes a vow to God. But if anybody sees, because I've been researching and I haven't found it yet, and I'm open to this kind of stuff because I want to know. If you have an example of a woman making a vow to a man, specifically in the romantic context, give the Bible verse below, because I have not yet seen it. I've not yet seen it. And if you have a Bible verse in which a man asks a woman to make a vow, specifically in regard to marriage, but really vows of any kind, in the Bible, please share it. Because I want to know this. I need to know the truth here. Because I've been wrestling with God on why, if marriage is such a good thing, which I do believe that it is, but I'm just speaking hypothetically here. If marriage is such a good thing, why are we as men who are logical beings supposed to make a vow with this emotional being who could change her mind at any instance? Why? Because marriage is temporal. It's not eternal. And you can look at the scriptures where you see Jesus talking about this, how after we die, we're going to be like angels. Okay, so we're not going to have the marriage in the afterlife or in heaven, in the kingdom of heaven, because we're going to be like angels. We're going to be pure spirit at that point. But this is something to really think about. This is something to really contemplate. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. Stay blessed. Peace. Until next time.